Hello and welcome all of my fellow Paragon fans. In this video, I'm going to be pitting Overprime's Early Access against Predecessor's Early Access in a head-to-head pros and cons style, based on my own experience with both games, plus some average player takes as well. But before we get into that, please drop a like and comment of your thoughts on this video in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell set on the all option, that way you never miss one of my uploads. Now, let's break down the pros, cons, good, bad, the overall experience, and the future of both Predecessor and Overprime in Early Access.
Overprime versus Predecessor. Fight!
The first topic I want to discuss is the look of Overprime compared to Predecessor. Based off of looks alone, personally, for me, Predecessor looks so much better than Overprime. But that's just looks. What about the feel and fluidity of both games? I captured this gameplay of Predecessor back in April when Omega held their last stress test, and at the time, I had a 5700 XT graphics card, running mostly high and very high settings. The overall smoothness and optimization I felt while playing Predecessor was immaculate. I don't recall any hitching, stuttering, lagging, or responsiveness issues at all over the 20 or so hours I played Predecessor during that playtest weekend. Now, moving on to Overprime. I captured this gameplay in the last Steam test that ended on November 22nd, and I was using an RTX 3080 graphics card, playing on almost all very high settings. The game itself, with a massive upgrade to my graphics card, still felt like it was lacking. The overall image, the smoothness, fluidity, and optimization of Overprime felt very flat in comparison to Predecessor. I noticed that the overall responsiveness of abilities and such felt very late, especially when using Chimera's Leap, which is another instance I wanted to discuss. I can recall at least 15 times where I would go to leap on an enemy player during a high chase jungle team fight, and halfway through the leap, I would smack the wall that was beside me, or I would smack my forehead on the small roofing above me, or just on different occasions, my jump wouldn't even work at all. But that's only Chimera. I noticed these issues with Revenant as well. The weight of my abilities and how responsive they were felt so light and unimpactful. Many times with both of these characters, I would use an ability that wouldn't cast, despite me pressing the ability key many times. Or when using an ability that locks onto an enemy player, the range of these abilities were so poorly timed and glitchy. I even had an instance in one of my games where I got stuck on my inhibitor for over 30 seconds. Every single time I tried to move forward, backward, left, or right, I would just teleport back to the top of the inhibitor, which almost made me Alt F4. It just felt like something was missing from Overprime as a whole. Now, personally, I'm a sucker for pretty games. I am the type of player that gets awestruck by really gorgeous landscapes in the games I'm playing. Rather than being the player that wants the highest frame rate, I much rather have 80 to 120 frames with an overall gorgeous view and smooth feel to the game over 200 frames with a lackluster image and smooth feel to the game. Unfortunately though, in 2022, gorgeous games aren't enough. Those gorgeous views must be accompanied by progression, customization, consistent content, and more to appeal to the overall player base. Which leads me into my next topic. What features does Overprime offer compared to Predecessor? Overprime offers a ranked mode, as of the last test I played that allows you to duo queue with one of your friends. It offers a huge map that is reminiscent of OG Paragon's Agora map, and this actually isn't the only map. The map that was featured in the last test was the third, if not fourth, iteration to the Overprime playing field, which is great considering it's not a one map style fits all situation. The devs of Overprime are actively trying multiple different maps and styles to see what appeals to the overall player base. And who knows, in the future, they may have multiple maps. Now, there is also a travel mode, which many OG Paragon players love. But that's not all. There is also 27 playable characters as of the last test, where 26 of them are OG Paragon characters, and the 27th is Overprime's first original character. In a much earlier test as well, there was a beautiful store that featured incredible original designs for the character skins, and the main feature being player progression, a combat record, and a training-like tutorial mode. Oh, and I can't forget, Overprime's Early Access is free on both Steam and the Epic Games launcher. So now, what does Predecessor offer in Early Access? Well, Omega Studios has made it clear that the overall game feel of Predecessor is the most important feature to them. So, Early Access will be fine-tuned as much as possible for the core gameplay experience to be as fluent as possible. But what it doesn't include is a player and hero progression system, a ranked mode, a store, and only 20 characters on day one release, with only 5 more shipping throughout a possible 6 to 12 month period. Plus, Early Access has a cost. Now, Predecessor's Early Access may not be AAA price, but still a $9.99 to $39.99 pass to Early Access has already split the community considering everything Predecessor's Early Access lacks, and the fact that Overprime's Early Access is free. So, for me, personally, I don't mind the lack of features and the cost of Predecessor's Early Access. I'd much rather have a phenomenal gaming experience over tons of features with a lackluster overall gaming experience. But that's just me, and I'm not the player to keep games like this alive. The players that keep games like this afloat are the average everyday players. The players that may not care about a not as clean and crispy image and overall fluent game feel. The players that want to feel progression and earn rewards for the time they've put into the game they are playing. Players that want amazing skins and other cosmetics that they can spend money on if they want to. The players that want to show off their combat records to their friends and sweat it out in a ranked mode. What I'm saying is, the average everyday player is going to pick Overprime over Predecessor. These players want to feel the time they are putting into these games isn't going to waste. They want to see a consistent flow of content that adds new modes, features, characters, and overall game updates. And especially considering that Overprime is free, it is the obvious choice for the overall player base, whether that is an OG Paragon player or someone who has no idea what this game is based off of. So again, personally, for me, I like Predecessor more than Overprime, and I will be playing Predecessor more than Overprime. But I do absolutely believe that Predecessor, although it is popular and nobody can deny it looks and runs better than Overprime, still won't have the overall player vote until they add progression features, a store, and a way for competitive players to grind their ranks up. And if these features really are 6 to 12 months out, then it's possible even the people who prefer Predecessor over Overprime could possibly eventually pick Overprime over Predecessor. Overprime has the features and content that the wide majority of players want from a game they are investing tens if not hundreds of hours into. And on a level of features, Predecessor is lacking. But those are just my thoughts on this topic. What did you guys think? Please let me know your Predecessor versus Overprime thoughts in the comment section down below, and which game you are leaning towards playing more. If you guys like Predecessor or Overprime content in general, please drop this video a like. And if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell set on the all option as well. I'll see you on the battlefield of Predecessor on December 1st, and the jungles of Overprime on December 8th. Thank you for watching. Take care, my fellow Paragon fans.